The global vault is cracking. Germany and Italy demand $245 billion in gold back from the U.S. Here's why it could shake the world. The financial heart of America is under serious strain, and it's not from Wall Street or Silicon Valley. It's deep beneath the streets of Manhattan, inside the gold vaults of the Federal Reserve. Two of America's most powerful allies, Germany and Italy, are making an unprecedented move. They're demanding the return of 1,930 tons of their gold, currently held inside the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That gold is worth a staggering $245 billion, and it's being prepared for transport back to Europe within 60 days. But this isn't just a matter of shifting precious metals. It's a geopolitical earthquake. For the first time in decades, Europe is signaling that it no longer trusts the United States to act as the custodian of its financial lifelines. And this bold move could destabilize everything from U.S. interest rates to the very foundation of the dollar as the world's reserve currency. So why is this happening now? Why are Germany and Italy pulling the plug on a system that's worked for nearly 80 years? And what role does Donald Trump and his tariff war play in this growing crisis? Let's unpack the full story. Bank America's Gold Vault, a global trust system in crisis. Since the end of World War II, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York has been more than just an American institution. It's been the unofficial global bank vault. Over 6,300 tons of gold, mostly owned by foreign governments and central banks, are stored here. These bars, worth over $460 billion, are not American property. They're entrusted to the U.S. by more than 90 countries, including major European powers, as a symbol of confidence in America's financial system. This setup gave the U.S. enormous leverage. Countries storing their gold in New York bolstered the legitimacy of the U.S. dollar, supported its liquidity, and allowed seamless transfers without moving a single bar, just a ledger update inside the Federal Reserve. This trust-based architecture made the United States the backbone of the global financial order. But now, that trust is rapidly evaporating. Airplane, a gold exodus is underway. Germany and Italy are making final arrangements to transport 50 to 60 tons of gold per week, using NATO military aircraft such as the IL-76 and C-17. If the plan holds, nearly 2,000 tons will be out of U.S. territory in just 2 months. This isn't a routine banking transaction. It's a strategic retreat, and more importantly, a warning signal. European leaders are increasingly nervous about the growing economic aggression from Washington, and it all centers around Trump's renewed trade offensive. Fire Trump's tariff war is back. Since Donald Trump's return to power, tariffs on European goods, from automobiles and wine to steel and agriculture, have soared. What started at 10% has escalated, with Trump even hinting at 50% tariffs by the summer. European leaders now fear not just trade war, but financial retaliation. And that fear extends to their gold reserves. If the U.S. can weaponize tariffs, what's to stop it from weaponizing European-owned gold? Warning: from trust to tension. A new Cold War? This is where the stakes turn from financial to political. European countries now view gold not as a reserve, but as leverage, even as protection. They're asking, what happens if Washington freezes our assets like it did to Russia during the Ukraine crisis? In Germany, politicians are under fire for keeping over 1,200 tons of gold in American hands. In Italy, critics argue that storing reserves in the U.S. is like handing your savings to someone who might lock you out at any moment. These are no longer fringe concerns, they're becoming mainstream political demands. Speech balloon political shocks in Berlin and Rome. In Germany, the Alternative for Germany, AfD party is pushing hard for the full repatriation of the country's gold. Their message: trusting foreign powers with our wealth is national weakness. Even Friedrich Merz, head of the traditionally pro-American Christian Democratic Union, is shifting tone. He now suggests using Germany's gold reserves as a bargaining chip in trade talks with Washington, a dramatic break from previous policy. Italy's situation is even more volatile. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, who once championed the return of Italy's gold while in opposition, is now caught between her nationalist promises and the economic backlash that might follow if she actually acts. Italy holds about 2,451 tons of gold, with nearly 700 tons still overseas, most of it in New York. Firecracker: the domino effect. Who's next? Behind closed doors, France, Austria, the Netherlands, and Belgium are all reportedly considering similar moves. Some of them already moved small gold quantities back in 2017 to 2018 after Trump's first trade war. Now, the quiet rumblings of repatriation could turn into a continental exodus. And this raises the ultimate question: if Germany and Italy don't trust the Fed, why should anyone else? Chart: decreasing market fallout, billions at stake. If this gold actually leaves U.S. vaults, the effects won't just be symbolic. The New York Fed would lose billions in foreign deposits. Though these are technically balance sheet changes, the psychological impact on markets could be massive. Financial systems run on confidence. And once that cracks, even the most stable institutions feel the tremors. Interest rates on U.S. Treasury bonds could surge as European countries like Germany and Italy dump nearly $18 billion in U.S. Treasuries to rebalance their reserves. That would drive yields higher, increasing government debt costs and possibly triggering a housing market slowdown. Just a small uptick in interest rates could add $30 per month to a $350,000 mortgage, suppress new home building by 5 to 6% by 2026, accelerate U.S. annual interest payments toward $1.2 trillion, years ahead of projections. Locked: can the U.S. block the exit? There's also a looming political risk. What if Trump, under pressure, decides to delay or block the gold transfers? He could demand an audit, launch investigations, or outright freeze foreign-owned assets. Such a move would obliterate global trust in the U.S. financial system and may trigger full-scale global reserve diversification away from the dollar. Compass: a new financial world is emerging. This entire crisis, sparked by the movement of gold, is more than just a European-American spat. It's the redefining of global financial alliances. We may be entering a new kind of Cold War, but this time, the weapons aren't nuclear. They're monetary. Gold, once the glue of post-war unity, is turning into a symbol of economic sovereignty. For Germany and Italy, it's not just about metal, it's about independence. Television: final thought: gold as a weapon, not just a reserve. So, what started as a quiet logistics operation, flying gold bars out of a New York vault, could become the biggest monetary disruption in decades. If more nations follow Germany and Italy's lead, we might see a global rejection of the dollar's dominance and the slow unraveling of America's financial superpower status. Trust doesn't break overnight. But when it does, it rarely returns. To follow this developing financial storm and how it might reshape the global economy, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay informed with our latest updates. The gold may be leaving, but the consequences are just arriving.